Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Wednesday the 16th of November 2022. In today's Mill news, football legend Ian Wright starts work on the Rocky and Wrighty Arena. This is from millfc.co.uk. So what's going on here? Well, Ian Wright broke ground at his former primary school in Lewisham yesterday to mark the start of the construction of the Rocky and Wrighty Arena. A small-sided 3G football turf pitch being installed at Turnham Academy pays tribute to Ian's much-loved friend David "Rocky" Rocastle, who grew up with Ian on a Oak estate which overlooks the pitch. Having honed their football skills on the concrete pitches at the school, the two went on to play alongside each other at Arsenal FC. EA Sports has joined forces with the Premier League, the FA and the government's Football Foundation to fund this new facility. The pitch which will be ready for action in early 2023, will deliver a much needed grassroots sports facility in the heart of South London. The site will feature an impressive mural dedicated to Ian Wright and David Rocastle, designed by local artist Lionel Stanhope. Ian Wright said, "Witnessing the start of this development is surreal, man. This is not just an ordinary pitch, it's a tribute to someone dear to me and a safe space for generations to come. Rocky and I grew up playing on small pitches. We play anywhere and talk about our dreams of playing professionally. These dreams started right here at Turnham Academy. I think everyone knows what this school and my teacher, Mr. Pigden, means to me. Be able, with the help of EA Sports and the Football Foundation, to make this pitch a reality just means the world to me." Yeah, and if you haven't seen that, there is a video on YouTube. I believe it's from like a football documentary about Ian Wright. They surprise Ian Wright with his old PE teacher or some teacher, and it's a very emotional moment. And if you can, probably have a look at that on YouTube if you haven't seen it already. The Rocky and Wright Arena is here, right behind Rocastle Road. It's here for the school, it's here for the Honour Road community and the local clubs that will have access. An incredible amount of work has gone into this project over the last 18 months. I'm very grateful to the Football Foundation and EA Sports for really following through on their commitment to grassroots sports and communities around the country. I hope the kids at my old school and in my community love every minute they get on this new pitch. I'm excited that many girls and boys will benefit. There'll be Premier League kicks, walking football, Wildcats, Millwall Lionesses and Millwall Roman sessions run by the Millwall Community Trust, and programmes for disability groups thanks to a partnership with the South London Maudsley NHS Foundation Trust. It'll also be the training ground for Hilly Fielders FC mini soccer teams who help girls and boys develop through football. Robert Sullivan, CEO of the Football Foundation, said, "Thanks to the investment of the Premier League, the FA and the government, better grassroots football facilities like this one at Turnham Academy are having a transformative impact on people's physical and mental health, bringing communities together and benefiting local economies across England. Ian's desire to get this facility in place at Turnham Academy is admirable, and it's clear he can see how football can help to transform lives. The Rocky and Wrighty Arena is going to be an amazing facility for the community here in Honour Oak, and the Football Foundation is delighted to be funding this alongside EA Sports." David Jackson, VP EA Sports Brand, said, "We are really proud to be involved in this project, and whilst the work is just starting, we can't wait to see the pitch being used by the local community once completed. At EA Sports, we're committed to supporting football at every level, and this is a brilliant grassroots initiative to be a part of. Alongside the school and all the teams who intend to use this pitch, we hope that it can also inspire a new generation of creators with a safe space in their local area to express themselves. We're thrilled to be supporting this opportunity alongside Ian Wright, Premier League, the FA and the Football Foundation, and through this being able to celebrate both Ian and the late great David Rocastle." Lionel Stanhope, mural artist, says, I'm excited and I'm really proud to be part of this important local project, which will give kids a modern space to play all year round. To be asked to bring two Turnham Academy legends, Rocky and Righty, to life in my artwork is something special that I'll remember forever. And Richard Pigford, head of school at Turnham Academy, said, the Rocky and Righty Arena will make a huge difference within our local community. Many of our existing community partnerships will benefit greatly from the facility, and we cannot thank Ian enough for his passion and desire to make this project happen, and the funding from the Football Foundation and EA Sports. This new facility will allow Turnham Academy and the wider Step Academy Trust community to closely work with new and existing partners to further improve the opportunities and therefore the life chances of the children within the community we proudly serve. Many local boys and girls will use the facility weekly, and their local grassroots clubs, content creators in South London will have a new exciting space to work, and of course our students will reap the benefits of the local facility being built on our site, giving us an additional all-weather space we can use all year round. Finally, we are delighted that there will be a permanent fixture to both Ian Wright and David Rocastle on the site where it all began for them, and we very much look forward to welcoming Ian and David's family back to Turnham when the facility is complete. The facility, which is due to open in early 2023, is part of the Football Foundation's ongoing work to transform local football facilities across England. And what this has to do with Millwall, even though Millwall gets a mention there from Ian right there about Millwall Community Trust will be running some of the events that take place on the pitch. So that's why, and even though Steve Kavanagh's there, they don't have a quote from him. So, but there you go. That's what it's got to do with Millwall. So moving on to something a bit more Millwall. This is from SuffolkNews.co.uk. EFL expert shares opinion on Millwall's start of the season. Gabriel Sutton predicted the Lions to finish in the top 6 before the start of the season. It's hard to argue that Millwall's start to the Championship campaign has made any sense when looking at their performances and results. The Lions started the season poorly, but occupy a place in the top 6 ahead of the World Cup break. Their defensive issues have been well documented, but they have in fact benefited from playing a formation that uses fewer defenders. Their 4-match winning run was ended by a 1-0 defeat against the side at the very bottom of the league table before playing out a 0-0 draw at home to another underperforming team who had 10 men on the field for more than half the game a week later. Just as question marks began to be raised once again, they put 4 goals past one of the strongest defensive outfits in the division in their own backyard, winning 4-2. Well, that one's not that that one's not that much of a surprise, because if you go back and watch the preview video that I did for the Preston game, you'll see that their home form is absolutely dog shit. They are the best. Preston are the best away team in the league. That's where they get most of their points. So for us to go that in terms of an away game that we could actually win, that was probably actually one of them. And Preston have a weird stats line now. They didn't concede many goals, but they've been getting the points to get them up in the table, which is just absolutely weird. They're not scoring goals, they're not conceding goals, but they're winning games like 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, and drawing other games 0-0, and they got up the table. EFL expert Gabriel Sutton, who? Exactly. Never heard of him. Has also struggled to comprehend Millwall's campaign to date, though he was able to pinpoint why Gary outside have been able to surge into third places after 20 league games. When we started the season, it looked like Millwall had some goal scoring potential, but had obvious issues at the back, he told me. I think there have been 1 or 2 changes that Gary has made more recently to try and fix the defensive issues. Actually going from the 5-2-3 or 5-3-2 to the 4-2-3-1 that we've more commonly associated with him at other clubs in his career. That's clearly made an impact, because since then defensively there probably has been a bit more solidity. Maybe it's a bit more about trusting individual defenders to win their individual duels as opposed to having a bit more chaos that you perhaps have when you have 3 out-and-out centre backs. I also think there have been games where Millwall have shown real potential going forward with the odd 10 out of 10 performance, whether that's Zion Fleming, Tom Bradshaw, or even Andreas Vogelsammer. Looks like he's got some quality about him. I think there's potential going forward, and I think it's about clicking those two parts together. If you can find that formula, I think you've got a good chance of the playoffs. That being said, there's a long way to go, and a number of ways that Mill can still improve. Gabriel initially put them in his top 6 for his pre-season predictions, but believes that they still need to strengthen if they are to vie for a place in the Premier League. I also put Coventry in my top 6, and one of the things I like to prioritise with teams is whether they've got stability in a dugout or stable core of players. And certainly for me, all the answer to that is yes, they've got a good defensive base. I'm thinking whether Fleming can add that spark of creativity while you'll keep that solidity in place. For me, I can see Mill going into the market for another striker in January. I think a target man type could help because if you look at George Long's distribution, it tends to be quite direct. I'm not shocked that you've not necessarily been able to produce the attacking magic like you did at Preston North End in all your games so far. A couple of 0-0s before that. If a big part of that is Long's goal kicks from Long to Bradshaw, who isn't going to win much in the air. I feel like you could put a 2017-18 Steve Morrison type into this Millwall side that can make the difference. This optimism hasn't necessarily been shared by the supporters, many of whom questioned whether Rao was able to take the club any further after 3 years of continuous progression. There is no denying that the bar has been raised as a result, and expectations are much higher than they were at the start of his tenure, although Gabriel still believes that the 48-year-old is the right man for the job. Continuous progression, define that. Did we not last season, did we not finish lower in the table than we did the season before? Didn't we finish like 8th and then we finished 11th? Pretty sure something similar. So, not continuous progression, is it? It's just continuous stability without the threat of relegation from this league. For me, from an outside perspective, I see Gabriel as a consistent 7+ out of 10 Championship manager. I think whenever he's been, apart from Stoke, he's either met expectations or in some cases massively exceeded them. I think you've got to be mindful of that. I don't think he's someone that also always necessarily shows his emotions in a raw, out-and-out way, although I suppose he gave it a real moment post-match at Deepdale, which I think was important to a lot of fans. I think a little bit of passion certainly helps. I think he's drilled this Millwall side into shape for much of his last 3 years in charge, and I think if they find that defensive consistency this season and add the quality of Zion Fleming and Andreas Vogelsammer, Billy Mitchell having a great season of course, then I think you're in with a chance. Those sorts of individuals have been crucial for Millwall, and Gabriel doesn't hesitate when asked about his 3 stand-up players so far this season. I think Zion Fleming would definitely be one, he explains. I did a bit of digging on this lad when he first signed because he'd been at Fortuna Sittard, and I think the feeling was that he wasn't necessarily playing in a great team, but he was that attacking spark. He could do a bit of everything and he brought that bit of quality to them. I think he's doing something similar at Millwall, really. It was a lovely free kick at Deepdale where he almost drilled it under the wall. Quite a deceptive free kick in a way. Then he seems to be almost flexing his muscle in front of the fans and celebrating as well. So he seems to be embracing the Millwall spirit, which I think is really important. There have probably been players that have gone to Millwall in the past that have possibly been a bit of a shrinking violet, if you like. They have all the ability, but not quite been able to stand up to the demands playing at the Den. I think this lad can. Another lad who certainly can is Billy Mitchell. Whenever someone comes from the Millwall Academy, especially in midfield from afar, there's always this assumption that they're going to be really energetic, really tenacious, and love a sliding tackle, and that's about it. With Billy Mitchell, I think that stereotype from afar is probably wrong. I saw him for one of the goals at Deepdale. There was a lovely through ball down the right hand side where he released Danny McNamara. It shows that he's got that eye for passing as well. That's really exciting. Then I think if you go a bit more to your usual suspects, your Jake Coopers and Sean Hutchinsons, who are very solid defenders, that would be my 3. Simon Fleming, Billy Mitchell and Jake Cooper. Of course, the big question is whether Millwall can maintain their current form. Being in the top 6 in November is obviously fantastic for the club, but their success will be judged on whether or not they can keep their place on 5 p.m. on May the 6th, 2023. I'll be surprised if Blackburn are in the position they currently occupy. I think Watford could be vulnerable. You beat them 3-0. I even thought you were quite competitive against Norwich in the first half of that game, then sort of turned a bit in the second half. Certainly, I don't see any reason why you can't sustain that challenge. Indeed, indeed, indeed. And if you see in previous videos that I did, I went to whoscored.com and I was able to change the table from after that Blackburn game and before the Rotherham game when we changed formation. And when you have the table from that date, so you miss out all the shit at the start of the season where we were playing the wrong formation. From when we started changing the formation, we are, I think, fourth in the league. Like we're bang on form. We are bang on form to finish in the top two, realistically. And we're getting better. We're getting better, and we're improving, and we're improving. The last away games. Was it last 3 away games? Was so if we go back to the Bristol City game, that was our first away win since of the season and first away win since March. Then our next away game was against Birmingham. That was our first clean sheet, 0-0 draw. Okay, wasn't the best, but that was our first clean sheet away from home this season. And then we go into the Preston North End game, and when you see what happened with 4-2, absolutely amazing. No one expected that. Everyone expected a 0-0 or a very close game. So we are getting better. It's getting better and better and better and better. And like I said before, with this World Cup break that's happening, we've shortened it massively to literally 10 days. We've got a friendly, then we've got a rearranged postponed game, which other teams have already played. They played theirs last week, midweek. That's why we have a game in hand of them. But we kept it for that break to fill it in. So a lot of teams, if they have too much time off. And I saw a thing on Twitter, there's only 25 players from the Championship going to the World Cup. And they thought, well, why the fuck are we, why is the league postponed when there's only 25 players missing? We should be doing what League One is doing, and League Two or whatever. Which is the old rules, I don't know if you remember them, when we were down there. If one side has 3 players missing from international call-ups, they can ask for the game to be postponed. But I guess the reason why is because they didn't know which teams would qualify, and if Ireland would have qualified, there's quite a few Irish players in the Championship, so if they would have qualified, probably would have been a few more Irish players going to the World Cup. So this is the thing. We're doing one thing, the rest of the league are doing another. Could be very beneficial to us. Could be the good thing, could be the right thing to do, could be the wrong thing to do. We're going to know probably pretty quickly, and I would say this. So we've played 20 games. Our next 3 games are against teams that we haven't played. Wigan, Sunderland and Luton. So after that Luton game, that's 23 games. That's half of the league done and dusted. Where are we? Look where we are then, because we've played at least every team in the league once. That will give you a very good indication. Hopefully we're still in the playoffs. You think, well, does it really matter? Kind of does. Because if we're good enough to play every team once and be in the playoffs, then we can do it again. We've already done it. Now it's going to be similar but different because we now play Norwich at home, we play Burnley at home, we play Birmingham at home, we play Hull away. So it's the same but reversed. So it kind of should matter that we are in the playoffs after those 3 games, after the Luton game. Not only that, but if we were to be in the top 2 after those 3 games, oh my goodness, can you imagine being in the top 2 on Christmas Day Wow, what a fantastic Christmas present that would for all Millwall fans. It would be absolutely brilliant. So we're going to finish today's video by looking at this. This is still going on. There is 2 days and 13 hours to go to bid on the match-worn shirts from the Hull City game, which was the Remembrance game, which is raising money for the Poppy of Phil. So far they have raised £6,432. That is not finalised yet because the sales aren't done. It's still going on. And no surprise, really, the Zion Fleming shirt is the highest bidded one. It's up to 1,231. I think that's a lot of outside interest. I think he seems to be a special type of player who could have a career ahead of him. So I think there's like the collectors are eyeing this up, that if he does go on to be somebody doing things in the game in the Premier League, in Serie A, even for the Netherlands at national level, international level, then having a Fleming Millwall shirt, official one, could be something something interesting to have in your collection. So he is up to 1,231, and it's just so they've got all the players to sign them, the numbers on the back as well, and you can see. So we've got Billy Mitchell 522. So obviously this was a 0-0 game. It was an exciting game, but doesn't stop people bidding for the shirts. Isaac Loffy's shirt's up to 211, which isn't the lowest. The lowest is Tyler Berry, which is 192. He was a substitute. He did get on the pitch. And the next lowest is George Long. And I've just realised that the situation on the back of George Long's shirt is a bit of a double entendre, you would. Because it literally says long one. Do you get it? Long one? Have you got a long one? Not in this weather, it's a bit cold outside. You get it? Okay, sorry about that. And on that note, thank you for watching and goodbye.